Hello, hello class. Okay, welcome to Project Management Makeup class. Good. Okay, everybody can hear me well, right? We start from now. Oh, I see the transcript. Okay, I turn it off. Why Microsoft Teams automatically transfer the transcript of my voices? Turn this off. All right, so welcome the makeup session, right? The final session. This session is being recorded. All right, and the participants may watch again the recording. So if a student doesn't go to this makeup session, I don't think the absent student able to get access to the recording. All right, and once this session already begun, I will not stop halfway and accept the new arrivals. I already accept the request for joining before our class begins. Right? And then I don't want to be disturbed halfway and accept the late students. All right. So today you're supposed to have an overview of what you need to focus your review for preparation for the final exam. I already prepared the PowerPoint slide, and I will narrow down the chapters for you to focus on your review. And then I will show you some practice problems. Okay, and there's still one group that did not make presentation last week. That is the BMer group. Samai, are you here? Anybody from BMer group?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So do you want to present right now at 1:30 or after my review, Mike?
I would like to hear your review first, please.
Say it again, after my review, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I must tell you that my review is short, right? I know this is the reserve week and everybody is tired, and there are many courses for you to review for the final exam week next week. So I just target the scope for your review in my course, and to save time, there's no break. All right, there's no break. So let's see. Now 19 p.m. So PMer group will make presentation after my review. It should take place about 2:30, right? It should. So PMer group presentation would begin at 2:30. I type in that statement in the chat box. PMer group will begin presentation from 2:30 p.m. Okay. All right. So now, right, I'm sharing my PowerPoint slide, right? Oh, what is this? If you see my slide, please click on like. Press the button like on MS Teams so that I can know. You see my screen, right? Press like. Click like button. Okay, Minh Thư, right? Anh Thi, right? In right? Yes. Good. Good to go. All right. So first, how the final exam look like? So it's like the midterm exam structure. There are 3 questions, and this exam is closed book. Only one A4 sheets allowed right in the exam room. Duration of the final exam is 90 minutes. 90 minutes only, right? 3 questions. 1 conceptual or theoretical questions, and 2 problem-solving questions. For the conceptual or theoretical question, it's like an essay, open-ended question, right? And you need to review all of the chapters from chapter 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, right, for the conceptual or theoretical question, all right? You may wonder, right, any example of the conceptual question. I'm going to show you example later. And 2 problem-solving questions. I also show you some examples of the problem-solving questions. All right, so it means that for the conceptual background in chapter 7, right, you must know the major knowledge points of project budgeting and cost estimation in chapter 7. Project scheduling in chapter 8. Allocation of resources in chapter 9. Project monitoring in chapter 10. Project control in chapter 11. And project audits or project evaluation in chapter 12. All right. All right. All right. So you have to read the textbook chapter related to these chapters and my handout in the blackboard, and take a note on the allowable A4 sheets in the exam room, right? I know there are many concepts, right? And each chapter you have to jot down the key concepts. Okay, so for the problem solving question, you have to practice again the problems related to the CPM, critical path method, PERT method, how to identify the critical path, right, using the early times and the late times, how to shorten or rush a project, okay, and how to estimate the probability to complete a project in a given time, calculate the CPI, cost performance index, CPI, schedule performance index, and ETC, estimate to complete, calculate the critical ratio, and know how to read the earned value chart. Okay, that is related to earned value analysis. All right, so you have just have an overview of what kind of the concepts you need to focus your review on as preparation for the final exam, from chapter 7 to chapter 12, and you also know what kind of the problem solving questions you need to narrow down your review. For the practice problems, I already posted in the Blackboard 2 problem sets related to CBM, PERT, project rushing, calculation of the CDI, CS, SPI, and EV. Problem set number 1 and problem set number 2. Right, so you have to take your time, practice solving those problems in these 2 sets, right, available in the Blackboard. Okay, so I give you now some basic concepts, right, in each chapter as preparation for the final exam. For example, in chapter 7, project budgeting and cost estimation. Okay, there are many concepts actually, but you may narrow down to read carefully, right? The concepts like what are the different approaches for project budgeting, right? There are 2 major budgeting approaches. One is top-down approach and the other is bottom-up approach. Of course, you must know the advantages and disadvantages of top-down and bottom-up budgeting approach. Anybody can quickly tell me one important difference between the top-down and bottom-up budgeting approach. This is the final session, and if you answer my question correctly and quickly, all right, I still give you the bonus points. All right, I haven't yet summarized your assignment points so far. Okay, I didn't mark your group work yet because today is the deadline for your group report, right? So today you still have the room for increasing your assignment score by answering my question correctly and quickly. Who would like to receive the bonus points? What is one major difference between top-down and bottom-up budgeting approach? Oh, nobody want to receive the bonus point. All right, yes. Let's interact a little bit, right? Let me have a look. Okay, actually, not many active students here. Oh, Phương Anh, right? You from the Tuesday class, but you active in my courses. That's good. Oh, Anh Thi. Can you hear me, Anh Thi?
Dạ nghe thầy ơi.
Yes, you can. All right. Can you answer that question, Anh Thi? If you want to have the bonus points. what is one major difference between top-down and bottom-up budgeting approach?
Both are
Hmm? Too late. Okay, what about okay, I think I will not share my review recording to everybody, right? I think I just share with you who now attend my class. It's fair, right? Because you go to my class in time. This is not online class, right? I certainly asked for the online session because I received a letter. I received an announcement from our university that okay, everybody will have to be careful about the COVID-19 pandemic, right? So I don't want to get together in too large crowds. So I asked for the online classes and it's accepted. But the time for the online class also the same time for the in-person class. So there's no excuse, there's no reason why the student absent. Nobody can answer. All right. What about
Em trả lời được không thầy?
Bang Ying? Very good, Ying. Okay. Can you only one major difference between top-down and bottom-up budgeting approach?
So I believe that the top-down budgeting is when the managers allocate the teams sum of monies and they only can use that total monies, while bottom-ups is like the departments will pay all these bills and then they will inform the managers. Like it is more time consuming, but it is realistic, while top-down budgeting is like will align with the strategic goals. I believe that's.
Yeah. Well, very good, very good. Okay. Thank you, Ian. Right. You make a very clear distinction between top-down and bottom-up budgeting approach. Bottom-up approach can generate more accuracy in cost estimation because you check right at the worker level. For example, the worker directly implement a task, right? And you ask the worker how many hours to complete that task, right? And if you know the real number of the working hours at the task level, and you know the unit cost per hour, then you can correctly calculate the labor cost at the task level for that task, right? So it looks like bottom-up budgeting approach is the process. You collect the data, right, at the execution at the task level, and the person who directly implement that task can provide you more accurate information for you to estimate the labor cost, the material cost, and even some manufacturing overhead costs, the cost related to that task. But of course, bottom-up budgeting approach may take time because you need to go to interview and collect the data from the workers themselves, but it's more accurate. The top-down approach, okay, you just ask the experienced people, right? You just ask the experienced people who are familiar with that project, and they share with you, right, the cost of each component based on their experience. Of course, it's not very accurate, right? Because their experience maybe many years ago, maybe last year, even last year, the price of the material maybe no longer correct this year due to the inflation rate. But one of the benefits of the top-down budgeting approach is that quick, right? It's very fast, right? For example, if when you want to build a house, all right, and you need to have an overview, right? In general, how much money you need to repair. So you just use the top-down approach. You go to your neighbor or your friend who just built a similar house. I mean, the house with the similar architectural design, and then right because they just finished their house, they remember, okay, and they share with you, okay, to build that house, how much money you need to prepare that in advance. So that's a kind of a top-down approach. When you follow the top-down budgeting approach, you don't need to go down to the bottom level and collect the information. All right. Yeah, so top-down approach is faster, but it's not very accurate. What are some factors? What are the factors that affect the accuracy of cost estimates? Who can quickly answer this question? Of course, there's a long list of the factors that may influence the accuracy of the cost estimation, but you can just come up with several factors. That's okay. Who? Okay, takes time, right? Takes time. You can take advantage of today, right, to review. And you can jot down, right? Instead of right, review again and again, right, all the time, you can take advantage of this time and review. Why not? I give you a few minutes, right, to look for the correct slide to answer this question. What are the factors that affect the accuracy of the cost estimates? Anyone? Oh, nobody want to get the bonus points. Ying Zhang. Are you here, Ying Zhang? Oh, Ying Zhang is not here. Kim Yang, are you here, Kim Yang?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, can you answer that question? What are some factors that affect the accuracy of the cost estimate?
For the cost estimate, we have to, I think in the we have to define project phase. Normally we have 3 or 4 phase about initial formation, planning, execution, and the last is closing, build up phase, right? And we have in each phase we have activities for, so yeah, we have to calculate the quantity, units price, and estimate the cost. Yeah, that is my answer.
Sorry, it's not very correct. All right, so first you have to understand completely and accurately this question. What factors that influence the accuracy of the cost estimates. So the best way is you have to imagine, right, a project of yourself. Let's say of the familiar project, right? I discussed with you many times in the classroom, the party project, right? Let's say you want to organize a party for your family members and your close friends, and you have to prepare how much money, right, for that party. All right. And after the party is over, okay, you check, right, the actual expenditure, and suppose that the actual expenditure for that party is very expensive. You have to you have to pay a lot of money. The deviation between the actual spending and the estimated cost is very wide, very big. All right, so you can, right, imagine the reason why you overspend, right? And that may come with the list of the reason. For example, uh, you underestimate. Okay, in the planning phase, you underestimate, right, the number of the guests. Maybe in the planning phase, you prepare the list of the guests, but during the party, right, some new arrivals, and then you didn't anticipate the new arrivals in the planning phase. What else? The inflation rate, for example, in the planning phase, in the cost estimation phase, okay, you use the cost of last year, okay, or you just check with your friends who organized the party several months ago, and maybe you use the top-down budgeting approach and you use the old unit cost. But this year, due to inflation, right, the cost of the materials, the cost of the food, right, the cost of renting the umbrella, the facilities for your party, right? The cost of beer, beverages, for example, goes up during the inflation rate. Yeah, so inflation rate is another factor. All right, the scope change, more and more guests, right? All right, and any contingency that may happen, right? So check out my handout under the chapter 7, and you can see one slide about the factors that can make the cost estimation not very accurate. All right. One more thing under chapter 7 is when you estimate the cost is think about the contingency to prevent the financial risk, inflation, for example. So when the cost of the items goes up due to inflation, right? You have to anticipate inflation. You have to anticipate the increase in the price of the inputs of the materials. So normally in practice, the cost estimator add from 5 to 10% to the total cost as the contingency. All right, chapter 8 and chapter 9 about project scheduling and resource leveling. I just show you the reason why and when you use the technique over here. You already learn how to solve the CBM, BERT, resource balancing or leveling techniques, right? Where is the pointer? Here. Okay, but to wrap up, why? Okay, so first you know that the project scheduling theme included the CBN method and BAT method and heuristic resource leveling method. When the PM have a lot of resources and the PM ready or willing to spend more resources to expedite or fasten the project time. Once, maybe because the customer want to receive the deliverables or the project output as soon as possible, so the project can use additional resources, spend more money, for example, right, to shorten the project time. And you can use the concept of the CBN critical path method for the rushing, right? You know, the rushing requires some rushing costs, but the manager want to minimize the how much to spend more using the rushing method. And BERT related to the probability estimation technique, right? So in the dynamic environment, we don't know for sure the duration of each task. Maybe sometimes it takes longer than the most likely duration. Sometimes it takes faster, right? The duration of that task may be shorter. So in case there are 3 task duration like that, you have to use the BERT techniques by calculate the TE or time expected, and there's a formula for the 3 time estimate, right, to calculate the time expected. But remember, at the project level, the project time is distributed based on the normal distribution pattern, right? So if you want to estimate the probability to complete a project, you can use the normal distribution table. That is the Z table, right? So if I ask you the BERT problem, I must provide you the Z table. Don't worry about that, right? I don't worry about that because it is the closed book, and you worry that you cannot open the book for the Z table. But don't worry about that. We will print out the Z table in the question in the question list, right, in the question paper, and you can use the Z table provided in the exam room, right? But in some cases, let's say the PM doesn't want to spend any more money. Okay. Yes, there's a solution like that. The solution that the PM doesn't need to pay extra money, but also achieve the deadline and reduce the idle time of the workers. So the technique we follow to achieve that target is resource leveling. Right? You follow the heuristic procedures, step-by-step procedure proposed by the experts in the field of project management. You level the requirements of the labor over the weeks, for example, especially when the project has only a limited number of the workers. But let's say in 1 week, right, the schedule require many workers. So before the PM employ additional workers, the PM must consider, okay, can he reschedule reschedule so that the requirement for the labor in that peak week reduce, and the project doesn't need to employ more workers. Yeah, that is a technique, right? In one of class, I show you that, okay, the project currently has only 6 workers. In 1 week, the demand for the worker up to 9. But hold on, before the PM decided to employ additional 3 workers, the PM must consider, oh, is there any week the demand for the worker is very, very small or even zero, so that we can balance, right, the utilization of the worker. Instead of employing more worker, we can reschedule. We can balance the demand for the worker over the project life cycle, and then use only 6 workers instead of 9 workers, so the PM can save the labor cost. Yeah, so you have to review the handout about the resource leveling, right, to save the amount of the labor, but at the same time also achieve the deadline of the project. You may ask the question, okay, what are some examples of the conceptual question? All right, I may modify a little bit, right? For example, how many approaches of project budgeting? All right, and we know that the answer is 2 approaches, top-down and bottom-up approaches. What are the benefits and disadvantages of each? The example. All right. What are the factors that make cost estimation inaccurate? All right, like what I just say, inflation, underestimation, or just bad luck. All right. What are okay? You also understand about the risk, right? The risk. Okay, maybe you have to review, right? What are some project risks? Okay. What are some, right, strategy to cope with the risk? So what are the project risks? This is the question in your group project actually. Okay, in your group project, I asked your team to think ahead of the project risk. Okay, so basically you have to think the risk that can delay your project, that can terminate your project, or any risk that can make your project has the cost overrun, or any risk that can that may reduce the quality of your project outcomes, of your project results. All right. And of course, other risks as well, right? But in the project context, normally you, at least fundamentally, you have to think ahead any risk that can delay the project. Because let's say you are the contractor of the project and you sign a contract with your client or your customer. You promise to your customer that by that deadline you have to deliver the project results. If you're not, right, based on the contract, your client, your customer may penalize you. Maybe sometimes, according to the contract, the penalty value very heavy, very serious, very huge. And of course, you cannot tolerate the loss, the financial loss, right? So you have to think ahead, and risk that can delay your project. It depends on the project nature, but some risk internal, for example, lack of the resources for your project, lack of worker, lack of machine, right? But some risks may be external, right? Maybe external that can delay your project. So in your group work, I ask your team to prepare the risk register in the planning phase. All right, so anybody can tell me, anybody can quickly give me some categories of external risk that can delay your project? If you still remember the risk register template in your team project. What huh?
Weather là external factors đúng không thầy?
Weather, yes, that's correct. Yeah, but if you remember in the risk register template thing, right? You know that I asked your team to classify what risk belong to demand risk, belong to legal risk, belong to financial risk, belong to technological risk, legal risk, right? Social risk, and so on. But if your project is totally for profit, okay, people really interested, right, about the demand risk. When you propose a business project, for example, when you propose a new product project to your company, right, your boss interested in the profits, and you know that several profit indicators you need to calculate, like a buyback periods, how many years to buy back the initial investment capital, profitability index value must be greater or at least 1. All right, NPV value must be positive. All right, but after you learn from my course, project planning course, particularly, right, the team project plan assignment, you know that in the planning phase you must consider the risk, including the demand risk. So for your new product development project, you calculate the profit, right, based on unchanged number of the customer that may use your product in the future. Okay, but you know that what you estimate in the future may not always correct. Sometimes the demand is high, sometimes it's low. So you have to mention that in the planning phase. Okay, the best way to report to your boss is that, okay, this profit is calculated based on this demand scenario. All right, if the demand is good, this is the payback period value. If the demand is not good, what is the different payback period value? All right, something like that. What are some strategies to cope with the risk? Anyone? Again, this question, right, is in the risk management deliverables in your team project? Anybody? Okay, so you still have a time to review, right? Several major strategies. You can consider the impact minimization strategy. Okay, if you say that, okay, the risk is unavoidable, okay, you cannot make it disappear. You cannot make the risk disappear. The risk be there, and based on your estimation, right, the probability for the risk to happen is very, very high. If you remember the risk matrix, right, you have to estimate the probability of the risk happening and the impact of the risk. Okay, so if the risk you identify has a very high probability of occurrence, you think that you cannot avoid that risk. So the strategy is to how, right, your team can minimize the impact of the risk. All right, because you cannot, right, make the risk disappear. The risk happen, so you don't want, right, the impact of the risk is very, very serious to the customer, to the people. Then you have to develop a strategy that minimizes the impact of the risk. C, identify several resources that may need to be considered when scheduling the project. Labor, physical resources available like machine facilities, and even the space in the office, also one example of the physical resources. Okay. Another example of question for you to repair is what is the resource loading? How does it differ from resource leveling? Why is leveling resources needed? Resource loading is the level of the demand placed upon the individual resources during the specific time interval in a project schedule. 2, resource leveling seeks to minimize fluctuation in the resource demand created by the project. We use the resource leveling, right, to maximize the utilization of the available human resources. Especially, you have to look at the Gantt chart schedule and see any room for you to level the resources requirements. However, you can ignore this conceptual question. It's really tough, right? Another example related to the project control. What are the 3 main types of the control system? What question should a control system answer? Go or no go, phase gate process. Go, it means that you let the project go ahead because the project satisfies some condition. So think about the phases in the project life cycle. Each phase you set up a phase gate, a gate. You understand the meaning of the gate? You close the gate, you open the gate. So you spend at the gate of each phase, let's say the planning phase, and you set up the gate at the end of the planning phase, and you list all of the requirement. And if a project satisfies the requirement at the planning phase, and you open the gate and let the project to go to the next phase, that is the execution phase, right? So for example, if at the planning phase, one of the requirement, one of the condition, right, for you to open the gate for the project to go ahead to the execution phase is that the project must have the positive NPV, net present value. Okay, so if you check at the planning phase and a project proposal has the negative NPV and you close the gate, you stop the project. That's good. Okay, because the business cannot let unprofitable project to go ahead. Okay, right at the planning phase, if you don't take any action and you have to wait until the end of the unprofitable project, and then it's not good, especially you know that the resources within an organization are limited, right? Instead of allocate the limited resources for unprofitable project, now, right, the manager must allocate, right, those limited resources for profitable project. It's fair. Okay. Cybernetic control, like an automatically control system. Think about how the air conditioner machine, right, control on and off automatically, depending on the temperature of the room. But cybernetic control is not popular in the project world. In the project situation, go, no-go control is more popular. Boss control happens after the project. It's like a boss project evaluation, right? Now move to the project evaluation or audit. Suppose you finished your team assignment project already. So if somebody asks you, okay, can you look back at your project and can you answer this question? Is your team project successful or not? Okay, many people just think about the direct objective. Oh, what is it? All right, many people just think about the direct objective of your team assignment project. That is the high score, right? Mr. Tung will mark your team project assignment, and if your team project receive a high score from Mr. Tung and is successful, but actually evaluation has to do more than that. Okay, one of the requirements for the project audit or evaluation report is you have to list the lesson learned. Let's say next semester, next academic year, okay, your team will work again in a different project, and how your team will work together differently so that your team even have a more and more successful grade, more successful achievement. All right, so that's about lesson learned. In retrospect, did you and your team make any errors so that the next time the similar project, your team will not repeat that error, that mistake? Okay, that's a lesson learned example. And think about the ancillary goals. In addition to direct goal, many people just think about the score like a direct goal, but actually there's a more objectives than that. For example, when you work together in the team, you communicate well and you develop the communication skill. Why the teachers always, most of the teachers want the class to work in groups, right? Because the teacher want the student to practice the communication skill. Communication skill, very, very important for everyday life, for the future work, right? Okay, whether you like it or not, you have to work with your co-workers. Okay, and everybody know, right? Each individual has a different personality, and it's not easy to get along with a person whose personality is opposite to your own personality. But you have to accept that, especially you work and you work. That's your work. It's not your personal life. So you have to learn how to work with people with the different personality by improving communication skill. Exchange the idea easily, for everybody can understand your knowledge, your objectives, and in the process of working, you work well with your teammate, and after the project completed, your communication skill improve. You know how to adapt well in the different culture. Yeah, that's the perfect. That's the perfect, right? In the future, you may never work with your close friend anymore. You cannot work forever with your old friend, with your high school, with your primary school friends anymore. You have to work with somebody who is not easy to work with, but you have to accept that. But what about in the organization? All right, think about the ancillary goals. In addition to primary goal, if the company, for example, invest in the advanced technology, the ancillary goal of using the technology is the skill development. The skill development, right? Because to use the advanced technology, the advanced machine, the worker need to be trained. So after the training, the worker will have the skill to use the new machine. Okay, so knowledge and skill improve, that's the ancillary objective of the project. So what is the remedy goal? Oh, there's a case, but forget about this case, right? P, do you want to discuss this case, P?
No, thanks.
Okay, yeah. Suppose your team has just completed a new product development. What are dimensions of this project? So you have to think about, you have to review the dimensions to audit a new product project. All right, you know that for the new product projects, the deliverable, the final deliverable is the new product, right? You do the R&D, research and development, and your company introduce to the market the new product. But there are other dimensions as well. Customer satisfaction is another dimension. All right, knowledge and the skill development for the employees another dimension. It's not just the profitability index. Okay, customer satisfaction, knowledge, and the skill development. Even the new market, right? Oh, here. So the new market is future potential. Many companies ignore about the new market, even though in the short term, the new product doesn't generate a good profit. But why some big company accept the loss in the short term? Because they consider dimension number 4, future potential. Okay, the long term. Okay, they introduce, even though they spend a lot of money, but they can open the market in a new territory. For example, VinFast car, electric vehicle of VinFast, right? Do you think it is cheap to sell a car in the traditional car market like the US? No, it's not easy. All right. The major transportation means in the US is the car, and long time ago, right, the American people use car like Vietnamese people use the motorcycle. And many big car production companies, they are like Ford, right? So it's not easy, and it's not expensive, it's not cheap to introduce car in the US market. And of course you can if you offer the discounted price. So let's say you want to enter the US market and your product is the car, right? Maybe you have to discount the price significantly, right? But you see that in the near term, right? That project is not profitable, but the future potential is you have the new markets. I think many people understand very well about the future potential. That's the reason why you go to the university, because many people, right, want to go to university, even though they know that after the university education, not everybody has the good salary job, right? But why people want the university? Because they see something beyond, right, the knowledge. Sorry, they see something beyond the job, right? Job after graduation is one dimension of the education, right? But job is not the only dimension for education project, right? People can see potential benefits of the higher education, right? The knowledge, your reputation, right? Open the new horizon for you with your university degree. Your horizon is open. You use your English skill, you use your university background, you apply for higher education in developed countries like the US, Europe, Australia. Yes, you can work in the international corporation. Yes, so the future potential benefits also important. All right. So yeah, so to summarize, right, you have to prepare one A4. You have to prepare one A4 sheet, right? Because this is the closed book exam, and make sure that you jot down on the key concept point, right, from chapter 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 in the only A4 sheet. You have to organize your time quite well, because the duration of the exam is only 90 minutes. However, there are only 3 questions, like the midterm structure, right? 1 conceptual or theoretical question and 2 problem-solving questions. 2 problem-solving questions, you can practice the examples available in the Blackboard. There are 2 ways for you to do so. One is the problem set, and the other is the practice final in the Blackboard assignments. Okay, I can share with you that. Yes, so log in your Blackboard, click on the content in section 15. You can see 2 problem sets here, and the solution, problem set number 1, and solution for the problem set number 2 inside the document of the problem set number 2. And you can see the handout of today's review here. For example, look at the problem set number 1. Pay attention to the problem I circle. For example, this problem this problem 3.17, even though you see the Excel symbol, right, it doesn't mean that you use the Excel, okay, because in the exam room you don't have the Excel, right? So you have to manually work out the solution. So the problem 3.17 here require you to use the PERT technique to estimate the time, right, to complete the project. You have to review the step-by-step procedures to estimate the time to complete the project, right? Okay, this is not a lecture session, so I will not repeat the step-by-step procedure to estimate the project time. So your job is look for the handout and the textbook chapter that provide the steps for you to follow for probability estimation. This is PERT because there are 3 times. The optimistic, most likely, and pessimistic time for each class, and you need to calculate the TE as time expected and identify the critical activities, because the critical path must be identified, and critical paths include the critical activities, and critical activity have a 0 flow time. You have to follow, right, the late time and early times and late time calculation technique. Don't just say that, okay, the critical path is the longest path from the start node to the end node. Yeah, that's correct. But after this course, you have to follow the early times and late times approach to identify the bottleneck, identify the critical path. Problem 3.19 is project rushing. Problem 3.34, PERT again. Problem 3.35, rushing again. Problem 327, PERT, probability, because the question about probability. Yes, actually it's not so much, right? So the technique include PERT technique for probability estimation and project rushing technique. Of course, the procedures for you to follow for probability estimation or project rushing are long, and your job is to review, right, those procedures and practice more exercises. Okay, so at home you practice again and compare your answer with the solution here. Right, it's the solution available here, right? For problem set number 1. Problem set number 2 is the earned value analysis. Earned value analysis. Some exercises here related to PERT also, but one different item here is you have to calculate the cost performance index and schedule performance index and calculate the critical ratio in the project control. You must review, right, the earned value calculation. How many methods? Oh, maybe I have to add this one, right? Earned value. There's no question yet about the earned value, right? In monitoring, chapter 10. You see, you will learn, right, something because you go to this review session, right? I don't think I will share this review recording for others participation because they don't go to my class. So, for example, review project control. No, monitoring. How many ways to calculate earned value? All right, so you can save it. So you can review, right, my slide or even the textbook. How many ways to earn value? The most common ways to calculate the earned value is time proportionality, right? So how much the project earn depends on how many days elapse. All right, for example, if 10% of the task duration elapse, it means that 10% of that task budget, right, already earned, right? That's the basic. But other rules for earned value calculation like 0, 100%. It means that during the process of the task, you earn nothing. You just earn 100% of that task value at the end. Or 50-50 rule, or milestone rule, or key input rules, right? So check it out. All right, you have to understand that the target for the CBI and SBI value is 1. If this value is less than 1, it's not good, behind the schedule or cost overrun. And you also consider how to calculate the time variance, right, and cost variance as well. Yeah, the 2 problem sets here available. Practice them. Z table, how to use the Z table, right? So if the question of the exam related to use of the Z table here, we will provide the Z table for you in the exam room. Another channel for you to practice is the practice number 2 here. I prepare many practice question for you here, right? And oh, there's some essay question, right? Okay, this essay question help you to practice the earned value analysis. Okay, calculate the okay, how you understand about the SBI to know if the project is behind the schedule, ahead of the schedule, or on time. And some multiple choice question. All right. Wow. Yes, many questions for you to practice. Suppose you enter on of your answer here and you submit your work, right? Remember, this practice is not graded. You can practice up to 5 times. I'm not going to grade this practice one, right? Don't worry. After today, when I receive your team project report, I will mark them, and just in a few days, you will know your assignment score. Okay, so for example, if you submit everything, all of the answer here, you click OK. Oh, sorry. And you will see the correct answer. Do it again, right? What it is? You on attempt. You have 5 attempts, right? Let's say you begin another attempt. All right. I'm lazy to enter any answer, so you submit. I submit it, and I want to check my answer against the solution. You see, except the essay question, like the diagram here, the numeric responses, you can check your answer with the correct answer here. All right. So if your answer is correct, it's good. If not correct, you have to do it again. Try to understand your error. Yes. Okay, so that's it. That's all for today, right? Exactly in time, 2:30, and it's time for the group team member to make their presentation on their project plan. Samai, are you ready?
Dạ thầy ơi,
Hmm?
cho em hỏi một xíu. Dạ em muốn hỏi là note này mình có được in không thầy hay là mình phải viết tay vậy?
Thế nó in em viết tay đều được hết, giống như trong midterm này. Midterm thầy cũng cho in mà, phải không?
Dạ.
Ok.
Thế nên em muốn confirm lại.
Được in, không sao đâu.
Dạ
Được
em
in
cảm ơn
hoặc là
thầy.
viết tay. Nhưng mà chỉ là một tờ giấy A4 thôi nhé, 2 mặt.
Dạ, dạ.
Alright, so Sao Mai.
Yes.
Okay, can your group begin now?
Dạ thầy kiểm tra giúp em coi Như Huyền được accept vào lớp chưa thầy?
Sao anh có trẻ gì? Trời đất ơi. Bạn đã tên gì? Như Huyền hả? Sao Mai?
Dạ. Dạ.
Như Huyền.
Bạn có gặp chút vấn đề tài khoản Microsoft Teams cho nên là bạn không vô được, bạn phải đổi máy nên là có hơi lâu đó thầy.
Thầy không thấy Như Huyền. Thôi
Dạ.
chiều bạn
Dạ
đó
thì đợi em xíu.
em thuyết trình thay bằng đó cũng được. Thầy accept một số bạn tí trễ. Nhưng mà
Thầy
thầy không.
ơi,
Hả?
dạ em Phương Anh đó thầy.
Ok, Phương Anh. Rest for the
Dạ
prom.
thầy, dạ thầy chưa có chấm cháp 6 và S9 cho em đó thầy.
Vậy hả?
Dạ cái cháp 6 là em nộp handwriting, còn cái S9 là cái work in pair á thầy.
Alright. Ê, thầy ghi chú đây, Phương Anh. Rest for the prom, block thứ 3 nha.
Dạ.
Thầy Tung chấm chap 6 với chap nào nữa em?
Dạ S9 đó thầy.
S9 pair đúng không?
Dạ.
Em làm chung với bạn nào?
Dạ Mai Hoàng Chi đó thầy.
Mai Hồng Chi điểm cao lắm, Hồng Chi. Alright, rồi phải lo,
Em
thầy
cảm ơn
chấm liền.
thầy.
Ok, thầy sẽ chấm sau. Alright, bây giờ thầy accept một số bạn tới trễ. Không thấy Huyền nhé, Sao Mai.
Thầy accept cái tài khoản mà có tên là Lý Xuân Kiệt đó thầy, đó là bạn Như Huyền.
Sẽ kỳ vậy. Em có thể thuyết trình thay bằng đó được không?
Dạ bạn tới rồi thầy, chỉ là tên tài khoản của bạn khác thôi thầy. Bạn lấy tên tài khoản Lý Xuân Kiệt.
Mà bạn Lý Xuân Kiệt có phải trường mình không? Có phải trường
Dạ
mình không?
là Như Huyền nhưng mà bạn phải đổi máy cho nên là tên tài khoản bị khác rồi thầy.
Không hiểu lắm. Nhưng mà nếu mà Xuân Kiệt là sinh viên của mình cũng ok, không sao đâu. Bởi vì trong môi trường Microsoft Teams mình đang học, mình hạn chế những người bên ngoài, những tài khoản bên ngoài đó em. Sao thầy không thấy Thanh Thảo nhỉ? Lý Xuân Kiệt. Ok, accept. Nhật Hoa. Accept. Minh. Accept. Oh, no. Minh, why Minh use the different ID? Okay, can you tell your classmate that I just accept the student with IU ID, alright? So that's okay, you can. Nhi, what's your question, Nhi? Can you speak up? Có một bạn hỏi là Gtable có sẵn trong đề, có, an tâm. Yến Giang, Hồi nãy thầy gọi Giang quá chừng, bây giờ không có mặt, bây giờ hỏi. Hey Samad, can you group
Dạ
me
dạ.
in now? Okay.
Dạ. All right. Hello, everyone. So we are PMer, and we
Samad,
will be. Yes, yes.
can you turn on your webcam? The presenter must show their face.
Yes, yes. Dạ, em xin lỗi thầy do
Okay,
em
good,
không
good.
có xài
Okay.
Microsoft trên máy tính được cho nên là em phải xài điện thoại.
No problem. Okay.
All right. Good morning, everyone.
Yes. You have maximum 50 minutes, Mai.
Dạ, dạ. Huy chiếu slide. Thành viên nhóm chiếu slide giúp tôi được không?
Hay là em share cái slide rồi thầy mở cho em.
Dạ, dạ.
Chứ nãy thầy thấy slide rồi sao nó biến mất đi Mai? Nãy thầy có thấy mà.
Dạ em gửi vào phần chat rồi đó thầy.
Ok. Rồi bây giờ thầy share đúng không? Em
Dạ.
chỉ đọc thôi đúng không? Okay. Yes.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Mai. I'm from the group PMer. Our group has 4 members, Sao Mai, Như Huỳnh, Giang, and Đức Huy. And we will be presenting our project about renovating the street lights and the fences at the university, at the area near the lake of the university village. And my friend Như Huyen will be presenting the first three parts: project background, projects, deliverables, and the stakeholders.
Okay, so first I will present about the project background. First, the type project we undertaking is infrastructure renovation. This specifically focuses on outdoor facilities around the campus. Second, we're currently facing two major issues. First is the broken or malfunctioning outdoor lights, which lead to poor visibility at night. Second is the damaged fencing, which compromise security and increase the risk of unauthorized access. So these problems have created an environment that feels unsafe, especially after dark. So third, the need for the project stems from growing safety concern raised by both students and staff. And the lack of lighting and proper fencing not only affects safety, but also damages the image and comfort of the campus. And the last one, there is a need to restore safe and welcoming environment. So although there is a clear need to restore a secure and welcoming environment for everyone. So now let's look at the context and expected benefits of the project. Next slide, please, teacher.
Yeah, this you finish the expected benefits.
Okay. So okay. So let's look at the context of the expected benefit of the project. So the area in question is located in the University Village, an eastern residential zone that home to about 1,200 students. So it's not just a residential space, it's also a major pedestrian and vehicle route, which makes its condition even more critical. So this area serves as a university community of over 20,000 people. So any improvement made here will have a broad impact on the safety and well-being of a large number of users. So the expected benefit. First, it enhances safety for both pedestrians and vehicles, especially at night. Second, improve aesthetics, helping the area look cleaner and more inviting. Third, we aim to establish modern infrastructure that's more durable and efficient. And finally, all of these improvements will contribute to higher satisfaction among students, staff, and visitors. Next slide is the project general objective and specific objective. So about the specific objective, it is install 18 new LED lighting posts, including all required electrical wiring to improve visibility and safety across key areas. Second, the upgrade and reinforce 100 meters of perimeter fencing, including the construction of 30 concrete and footings and removal of damaged sections. Third is ensure all construction is carried out in compliance with safety standards, including permit approval, safety planning, and quality control inspection. And the fourth one is the complete final inspection and handover, ensuring the system operates effectively and is fully documented. So next slide, in terms of deliverables, the project will include the following. First is the approved permit and inspection reports, ensuring that all construction activities comply with legal and safety requirements. And it completed in engineering surveys and safety planning document, providing a technical and risk managed foundation for implementation. The installation of 18 LED light poles, including full electrical wiring and a control system for intelligent lighting. And 100 meters of new or reinforced fencing with solid concrete foundation to ensure structural integrity and site security. Finally, the final inspection certificate handover document and the project report marking the official completion and transfer of the project. So to the right, we have a site map illustrating the project geographic scope and key zone for implementation. Let's now take a look at the estimated project cost and timeline. Starting with the project, with the budget, the subtotal, which includes execution and administrative costs, is estimated at 300.5 million Vietnam dong. We also allocated a 10% contingency, around 30 million Vietnam dong, to cover any unforeseen expenses or risk. This brings the total estimated cost to approximately 355.55 million Vietnam dong. Moving to the timeline, the entire project is expected to take around 3 months, divided into 4 key phases. First is the initiation and planning phase, occur in 20 days. Second, the procurement and execution in 30 days. The monitoring and quality check in 15 days. And the final handout will take place in 10 days. So in this project, we've identified 4 key stakeholder groups and established clear communication method for each. First is the university admin. We will hold bi-weekly process meeting and send the report. Second is the students and residents. Since they live in around the project site, we will provide updates via poster, campus email, and the hotline on a monthly basis. The communication officer will manage this, promote awareness, and ensure safety. Third is the contractor. These are our day-to-day operators, so the communication will happen daily through on-site briefing and work report. It will be handled by the site supervisor to ensure tasks are well coordinated and issues are quite quickly resolved. And the fourth one is the local authority. So the communication here will be as required using formal letters and permitted form. So this grid help us prioritize stakeholder management and based on their power and interest. Next slide, please. So the top right, stakeholder with high power and high interest like the project manager, investor, and sponsor need to be managed closely. The top left, those with high power but low interest like contractors, university admin, and local authorities should be kept satisfied. The bottom right, stakeholder with high interest but low power such as student, workers, beneficiaries should be kept informed. And the bottom left, stakeholder with low power and interest, like suppliers and visitors, are monitored with minimum effort. So this is the end of my part.
I cannot hear you. I cannot hear your voice, Mike.
Oh, apologies. I will be presenting the work breakdown structure of our project. It's not meant to show all of the work of the project, but rather to show how each of the process will proceed from one to the next. At the top is level 0, which is street light and fence renovation, down to the level 1. The project is broken into 4 main parts, which we have project management, street light and fence system, renovation, and safety environmental management. And from the street light and fence system, we can go down to the next level, which we have the site survey, design approval, procurement of materials, construction, installation, testing, and commissioning. And from the construction and installation, it goes down to level 3, which gives us more specific tasks like excavation, electrical wiring, and voltage testing, and steel frame assembly, painting, and finishing. The work breakdown structure helps us to organize the work clearly and ensure efficiency. All right, next slide, please. So this is the cost estimation for our street light and fence renovation, which is covering around 400 to 600 meters around the lake. We have divided the cost by the project phases. the initiation, which will cover the permits and inspections. The planning will include the site survey, design, and the safety setup. And for the execution phase, which is the very resource intensive, we account for the materials, wiring, labor, equipment rental, and construction. For example, we are purchasing 18 LED light sets and 100 meters of the fencing materials. The labor is estimated for both the light and the fence installation, and this also includes the demolition and the foundation work. For the monitoring and controlling, the quality assurance also adds to the cost. And finally, the project closing and handover is covered as well, which the total estimated cost is approximately 352 million VND, which include a 10% contingency for the unexpected expenses, or you could say risk. This contingency can help manage the risk. All right. So for our risk assessment, for the street light and fence renovation, we have identified the key risk across all the project phases, which will be categorized by the type and the impact. For the initiation phase and the planning phases, which we have delays and in the permit approval, and the price fluctuations could cause a risk to our schedule and budget due to the market factors and administrative factors. And for the execution, we face more risks that are related to operation, which we have electrical hazards and safety risk, bad weather as well, and that could cause some work stoppage. The environmental concerns like the dust or the light pollution could also lead to the community pushback. In the formation and the build-up stage, we could encounter some resistance from the residents over the lighting design or perhaps legal confusion, which could delay the project kickoff. And finally, during the closing, there may be fairness complaints or the additional requests from the community, which can potentially lead to the cost overruns or more extended timelines.
Okay, Mike, may I ask a question? The
Yes.
risk about the fairness complaint, unfair compensation, right? So
Yes.
I don't see any houses near the lake. Are there any residential houses near the lake?
It doesn't have to be the residents, just people who regulate that area often.
You mean the land, the owner of the land somewhere near that? And then the project has to compensate because the project needs their land and the project has to purchase their land. The project has to compensate. That's what you mean?
Yes.
Okay, it's good. I think it's good. Okay. Next slide, right?
All right. For the next part, my friend Đức Huy will be presenting.
Teacher, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Here is the network diagram, which shows the sequence of mature phases in our project. The first phase is initiation and planning, scheduled from 20 days from June 6 to July 3rd. This is followed by procurement and execution, lasting 30 days from July 4 and August 14. The third phase is monitoring and quality check running from August 15 to September 4. And finally, the project concludes with the final handover, which takes 10 days. from September 5 to September 18. The arrow indicates dependency. Each phase begins only after previous one is completed. This linear structure ensures a smooth transition between task and click project tracking. And the next slide is the Gantt chart, the Gantt chart, which provide a timeline view of the project schedule. Each red bar represents one of the key project phase. The horizon axis show the calendar dates from June to September 2025. You can clearly see which each tab start and end and how they sequence over time. For instance, the execution phase only begins after planning phase finishes in early July. And the last part is for Miss Yang.
Okay, now I would like to present the RACI metric and the monitoring and evaluation framework for this project. So we know that RACI metric have clarified the roles and responsibilities of stakeholders in each project activity.
Oh, yeah,
So-
yeah. This is not the RICI matrix. This is the monitoring table. So where is the RICI matrix?
Next slide, next slide.
Next
Sorry for
slide.
that.
You want to present the
Yeah,
RACI first, right? Oh,
Yeah,
this is the RACI. You want to present
Yeah,
this
yeah.
one, right? Okay.
yeah, sorry for that. So we can see that RACI stand for responsibility, accountable, consulted, and informed. For permit approval, the project manager is responsible and accountable, while local authorities are consulted and the university admin is informed. For electrical wiring, the electrical engineer is responsible and the site supervisor is accountable, and the safety officer is consulted. This framework helps us track whether the project activities are being completed effectively and whether our goals are being achieved. We categorize our indicators based on outcomes, outputs, and activities. At the outcome level, we measure the reduction in nighttime incidents to evaluate whether safety and invisibility have improved. For output,
Wait. You are talking about monitoring and evaluation framework, right? Not RACI anymore.
I changed.
Okay.
So, this framework helps us track whether the project activities are become completed effectively and whether our goals are being achieved. We categorize our indicators based on outcome, outputs, and activities. For example, at the outcome level, we measure the reduction in nighttime incidents to evaluate the whether safety and invisibility have improved. For outputs, we measure how many LED poles and meters of fencing are successfully installed. At the activity level, we track tasks like excavation, wiring, painting, and final inspection with weekly or monthly frequency depending on the task. So its indicator include what to measure, how to measure, who will measure, frequently of measure, and how results will be reported. Now we move to the conclusion. With the clear monitoring framework and RACI metric, we ensure that the project progresses smoothly, transparently, and successfully. In conclusion, this street light and fence renovation project is not only a small-scale infrastructure upgrade, but a meaningful step toward creating a safer, more reliable, and meaningful, more sustainable environment for students and residents around Hoda and at University College. By applying a clear monitoring and evaluation framework, we can ensure transparency and measure the impact of its activity. So despite the modest budget and limited scope, the project is highly impactful, addressing safety concerns, improving nighttime visibility, and preventing accidents. So we are confident that with the right collaboration and carefully project management, this renovation will be completed on time, within budget, and with lasting positive results. So that's all our presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Very good idea. Very good project. It's really needed, right, for the safety of students. I have a question. Go back to your cost estimation. Do you think it's too expensive? You say that you install only 10 lighting points, right? 18 light points and only 100 meters of fence. Only 18 light points and 100 meters of fence, and it costs about 352,000. Sorry, 352 million VNDs. Okay, I think that's okay. But tell me, okay, which budget of? Okay, I think that's fair. As long as you answer this question, which budgeting approach did you use for cost estimation? Which budgeting approach did you use for cost estimation?
Can you help us rewind back to the cost estimation slide?
You mean the detail one? Where is the detail slide?
Oh, the cost estimation slide, which is slide 10. Slide 10.
Slide number 10. All right. Yeah, answer the question, Salman.
Yeah, can you help me repeat the question?
The question is, which budgeting approach did you use to estimate the cost?
Yeah, our project use bottom-up budgeting to estimate individually, then total it. Yeah.
Are you sure? Bottom-up approach?
Yeah,
okay, so it's time for you.
budgeting.
Okay, no, it's not correct answer, right? Some activities you use the bottom-up budgeting approach, but some activities you use the top-down approach. For example, look at the first row, initiation to get the permit. You say that it's a lump sum, right? To get the permit for construction, that's a lump sum cost, and the lump sum cost is 10 million, right? 10 billion VNDs. All right, so if this is the top-down money, it's top-down amount, okay, because this is a lump sum. Maybe you ask somebody, ask your friend, some specialist, okay, normally to get one permit for construction, it costs a lump sum how much? And your friend, the expert, say, okay, normally 10 billion VNDs. That's the top-down. Okay, so some activity, if you calculate the labor cost plus the material cost plus the overhead manufacturing cost for that task, okay, then you calculate, you take a sum of the labor cost, material cost, overhead manufacturing cost, and maybe some other detail cost, energy cost, blah blah blah. Then that is the bottom up. All right. In other words, if you use the bottom up approach, it means that you have to collect the data at the bottom level. The bottom level is the level of the worker. The worker will report to you, okay, to install one light bulb. The worker tells you normally how many labor hours, you see. So you calculate labor costs to install one light bulb, right? And you plus the labor cost with the cost for one light bulb, right? And maybe you add some more production related costs, you see, and then you have the cost at the to install one light bonds, and you multiply with the number of the light bonds in your project, which is 18, right? And that is the bottom up. Okay, when you say lump sum, it's the top-down approach. Yeah, in general, I'm really surprised with how well this project prepared. Okay, of course you consult with somebody, right? But anyway, this is a good proposal. It's a good plan. All right. But I want you to check the price, the cost. Okay.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's all for today. So good luck with your preparation for the final exam. I will mark your report. Don't forget, end of today, midnight of today is the deadline for your team project assignment, right? So upload your report. The report for your team project plan assignment includes two things. One is the document in WinWord or PDF. The second is the Gantt chart prepared in a software like Project Libre or Microsoft Project or Gantt project. So I expect to receive 2 files in the Blackboard. Is it clear? Anthi?
Yes.
All right. Any more question? Anyone? All right, so I think everybody must spend some time for all the courses. Okay, so thank you very much. See you later. Goodbye.
Bye bye.